Human behavior is rarely mysterious. It is patterned, predictable, governed by weakness. Most people believe they are thinking freely, choosing freely, acting with independence. In reality, they are reacting, constantly revealing themselves through words, emotions, explanations, and confessions. And those who reveal themselves surrender power. In every social structure, the same quiet law operates beneath polite conversation. The one who speaks the least is studied the most. The one who explains the least is challenged the least. The one who reveals nothing becomes impossible to control. Yet modern culture teaches the opposite. It teaches transparency, openness, expression. These are not virtues in the arena of power. They are vulnerabilities. And those who understand this principle do not compete with the crowd. They observe it. Niccolò Machiavelli understood something most people refuse to accept. Power does not belong to the honest. Power belongs to the controlled. In the courts of Renaissance Italy, men did not lose influence because they were weak. They lost influence because they were predictable. They explained themselves. They defended themselves. They tried to appear reasonable. But explanation reveals motive, and motive reveals leverage. Machiavelli recognized that silence was not absence. Silence was structure. It was architecture. The quiet individual becomes a blank surface onto which others project their fears, expectations, and assumptions. And people fear what they cannot read. This is why the most dangerous strategist in a room rarely dominates the conversation. He studies it. Consider a man named Daniel. Daniel believes competence alone will earn respect. He speaks openly. He clarifies his intentions. When questioned, he explains his reasoning carefully. He believes this builds trust. But something strange begins to happen. His colleagues interrupt him more often. His ideas are questioned more aggressively. His decisions require justification that others never provide. Daniel does not understand why. He believes honesty protects him. In reality, honesty exposes him. Because every explanation Daniel gives becomes information. And information is currency. The people around him spend it freely. Illusion 1. Honesty as strength. Most people believe honesty commands respect. But honesty without restraint becomes confession. The more someone explains their thinking, the easier it becomes to predict them. Predictable people are manageable. Manageable people are controllable. Powerful individuals do not lie constantly. They simply reveal very little. They allow others to wonder. And uncertainty generates caution. Illusion 2. Loyalty as protection. People also believe loyalty creates security. History disagrees. Courts, corporations, and governments are filled with loyal individuals who were quietly removed the moment they became inconvenient. Loyalty without leverage is dependency, and dependency invites replacement. Strategic individuals understand that respect grows not from loyalty, but from consequence. Others must believe that crossing you carries a cost. Illusion 3. Popularity is power. Popularity creates noise, but noise is not power. Crowds admire visible figures. They celebrate charisma, humor, openness. Yet the individuals who shape outcomes often remain silent in the background. Popularity attracts attention. Attention attracts opposition, and opposition weakens influence. Strategists do not chase approval. They shape perception quietly. Illusion 4. Transparency is trust. Transparency is praised as integrity. But transparency removes mystery. And when people fully understand you, they stop fearing miscalculation. A predictable individual can be pressured, persuaded, or cornered. But a person who reveals little becomes difficult to approach with certainty. Strategic ambiguity forces others to hesitate. Hesitation creates advantage. Illusion 5. Morality is safety. Many believe moral behavior protects them from conflict. But morality does not prevent exploitation. It often invites it. Predators study boundaries. And when someone signals that they will always behave ethically, fairly, or predictably, they reveal the exact limits they will never cross. This makes them easy to manipulate. Power does not reject morality. It simply refuses to be constrained by it when survival demands otherwise. Those who understand influence begin to operate differently. They practice controlled silence. Words become deliberate instruments rather than reflexive responses. They use strategic ambiguity. Their intentions remain partially obscured, forcing others to interpret cautiously. They rely on reputation over explanation. They allow others to speak about them rather than constantly defending themselves. They cultivate fear-based respect, not loud intimidation, but the quiet belief that provoking them would be a mistake. They prepare pre-calculated responses, never reacting emotionally in moments designed to provoke. And most importantly, they understand that information withheld becomes leverage. Every detail about your thinking, your emotions, your limits, is a tool someone else can use. So the strategist controls the flow of information, carefully, deliberately, patiently. At first, these advantages appear small. A pause before answering, a refusal to explain every decision, a calm response where others expect emotion. But small advantages compound. People begin to watch you more carefully. They second-guess their assumptions. They become uncertain about your boundaries. And uncertainty alters behavior. Conversations shift. Challenges soften. Opposition hesitates. Perception changes. And perception becomes reality. The quiet individual becomes the axis around which the room rotates, not because they demanded power, but because they created gravity. This realization destroys a comforting belief. The belief that being understood guarantees safety. The belief that openness guarantees fairness. It does not. Human systems reward those who manage perception, not those who expose themselves. Once you see this clearly, the old identity collapses. The identity that believed honesty alone created security. The identity that believed explanation created respect. You now see the structure beneath social behavior, and that knowledge cannot be removed. From this point forward, you observe differently. You notice who speaks too quickly, who explains too much, who reveals their emotions before understanding the room. And you recognize the pattern instantly. You also recognize the individuals who say almost nothing, the ones others watch carefully, the ones people avoid challenging without preparation. They move slowly. They reveal little. They allow the world to interpret them, while they interpret everyone else. These are not the loudest figures. They are the most dangerous ones. And now you understand why. If this perspective aligns with your understanding of human nature, subscribe to this channel, not as a gesture of support, but as a public declaration that you study strategy rather than comfort. Comment below with one word: silence. A signal that you recognize the advantage most people ignore. But consider this carefully. Once you understand the power of controlled silence, ordinary conversations begin to look different. You start to notice how quickly people expose themselves, how easily they surrender leverage, how loudly they reveal their weaknesses. And once you see this pattern clearly, you cannot return to not seeing it.